Hey everybody, welcome to another Pro Acoustics Tech Talk. I'm Nathan, and today we're going to talk about where to install sound masking speakers. Alright, so we've done a number of videos covering sound masking and where to put sound masking speakers and that kind of thing, but this is going to focus more on speaker placement tips and speaker placement rules, where you want to put the speakers. If you want a little bit more in-depth explanation of sound masking, check out some of our other videos. But basically, to briefly handle it, sound masking works by adding ambient noise to a space, kind of intentionally tuned ambient noise to help reduce eavesdropping, enhance speech privacy, and also improve worker productivity. It's important to add in places like offices, medical facilities, banks, places where privacy is important to help protect sensitive data like patient data in medical establishments, client information in the financial sector, or maybe even confidential employee information in offices. So sound masking basically helps to remedy some of that and to take steps to protect the privacy of others. So basically the idea is, just like if your home air conditioning is running, you don't really notice it, but then when it turns off, all of a sudden you can hear lots of other things around you. Same with water running in a kitchen or in a bathroom. You don't really notice it, but when it stops, all of a sudden you definitely notice it because you can hear a whole lot more. So that's kind of the basic idea, to add sound masking that blends into the background in a space. What are our best speaker placement tips? This is going to apply primarily to direct masking. Got a Pure Resonance Audio C3 here and a Cambridge passive QT emitter over here. We basically want to put these speakers in the ceiling pointed down, and we want to put them to where they mask the listener, not the content. What does that mean? So let's take a look at a makeshift office here. This could be a medical office. These could be just private offices for somebody working in an insurance office, or this could be, like I said, patients. This is a conference room. This is an open sales floor or an open customer service area. And then this is kind of a lobby with a reception desk. So where do we want to put the speakers? It all kind of starts with what our major problem is. So what we hear first many times is people in the conference room can be overheard outside. So using our rule of masking the listener, we want to put the speakers in the conference room? Nah, we want to put them outside of the conference room. So we want to mask the listener. So we're putting speakers in the hallway outside of the conference room. That means anybody who's walking down the hallway is now listening to masking instead of the content of the conference room itself. Also, when that person's walking through there, we kind of want people to experience the masking as much as possible, as often as possible, basically so that we don't notice the effect of the sink turning off. So it's good to mask the entire hallway for that reason. That means when this guy comes out of his office, he's hearing masking. Now he's walking, he's still hearing the masking rather than the conference room. He may be able to tell that something's going on in the conference room, but the masking is helping him to not hear that. And following that continuity concept, we would continue to mask all the way through the hallway. Now that leaves these other areas. We also have his private office itself. Perhaps, he's not just hearing the conference room when he's walking down the hallway. Perhaps he's also hearing it through his shared wall. That means we need to put a masking speaker in the office. Sometimes two, but we'll talk about that at another time. So now we've effectively masked this gentleman from the conference room. But we have another area over here. We've got our open sales floor or customer service area or anything like that. They also can hear the conference room, so that means we want to go ahead and put masking speakers in the ceiling in their area. Now this is going to serve another purpose here, which is this has also effectively masked this space, so that allows this employee, and say for instance this employee or these employees way over here, to not really hear it each other as much. They may be able to tell, hey, you're on the phone, but they're not hanging on every single little word. That's very effective in an open office environment because now we no longer hanging on every little syllable that the other person is saying. Because as kind of humans are a creature that likes to interact with one another, if you hear somebody talking, you're going to want to, part of you listens in. Maybe it's a fight or flight kind of thing, I don't know, but by using sound masking, it kind of helps our brain relax a little bit and not focus as much as what's going on over there. So continuing out these lines with the other private office areas, we may find that these people are hearing one another, they're hearing people across the hall, or they're frankly just experiencing so much of the masking to keep things even. We want to go ahead and mask their offices as well. What's very helpful about sound masking with both of these types of solutions is we can, since this is direct masking, it's very simple to know if I put a speaker in this office, it's going to cover that area, rather than indirect, which sometimes can spill over and cover a little bit wider areas. Also, we have the ability to do a multi-zone system to where we can potentially have masking in this area be a few decibels louder than, say, the private office, so that we're not getting too much isolation in those kind of ways. We can also continue on our masking into the lobby so that the people in the lobby are hearing masking rather than all the business chatter going on in the rest of the space as well. So once again, we want to focus on masking the listener, the person who's overhearing, rather than the sensitive conversation itself. You'll also notice that I put a speaker in every one of these rooms except the conference room. I'll go ahead and pop one in the reception area there. Why did I do that? Some of these speakers, can cover a wider area than just the hallway, but if they're inside of a closed room, it's not going to do anything. So we technically, if we're going to mask as much as possible to make it as simple and as immersive of an experience as possible, we want to go ahead and put at least a speaker in every room where somebody is going to be, with the exception of an area that may have very sensitive data that is the source. So we want to mask the listener and mask as many of the areas as possible. So what are some mistakes to avoid? First of all, what I joked about earlier, we don't want to put the speakers to mask the sensitive content itself. If we put masking speakers in this room and then we effectively increase the noise floor, which is a fancy way of kind of saying add the background music in, what happens lots of times is these people are going to talk louder and it's not really going to help. The exception is to that sometimes the military and government officials like to use masking inside of a conference room. A lot of that, I think, has to do with sophisticated eavesdropping technology that they're also trying to fool, but that's a lot more complicated than just a guy standing out over here. So, but for our purposes, for masking, you want to mask the listener primarily as your main focus. We can add in-wall or in-rack volume controls if desired. That means that we can put a dial on a wall, say dial on a wall right here, and we can have that tied to this speaker. But we don't want to do that too often because what we find that happens is if you put too many volume controls, say a volume control for every office, it kind of turns into the company, the phenomenon similar to like the company thermostat. Once people know that they can make a change, they're making changes all the time. They're requesting to make changes all the time. Instead, I normally do, say, a volume control in a manager's office where he or she knows where it is and nobody else does, and then have those all paired to the same volume control. Kind of similar with the open space. You can have a volume control in a rack or something like that and have them all tied and daisy chained together to where you can adjust that area as well. So at the end of the day, as mentioned, sound masking is designed to kind of be an immersive experience. It's designed to be something that you experience the entire time so that it's as effective as possible by just blending in. So too many volume controls is one problem. Another issue is that I find that people that talk about it too often. You normally don't want to tell your employees, hey, we're adding this to your space, this is what it's going to do. Instead, I normally say, install it over the weekend, turn it up very quietly at the beginning, and bring it up to the desired volume slowly over time. Biamp and Cambridge Sound Management have a number of guidelines in their manual that goes over that. And also keep in mind, this doesn't have to be as loud as you probably think it does. With the example of a faucet or HVAC noise, we're normally talking about like 40, 45, 50 decibels, 55 decibels maximum. That's very quiet. That's like the volume in a library. We don't want masking to be cranked up to be a loud, distracting, piercing noise with it just sounds like a loud hiss or a whoosh or a if it's that loud, it can be very disturbing and disruptive. So we want to kind of not turn it up too much because the louder that masking is, the more annoying it can be and the more people push back against it. So other things to kind of consider here is if you have any different room types, different types of ceilings, you know, say the hallway is an open area, we can mix pendant speakers as well as in-ceiling speakers. Or other things that may have to do with multiple conference rooms and things along those lines. We have a number of ways we can address, specific circumstances in these cases. So, if you've got any questions about sound masking, anything we can help with, any projects that we can put together for you, definitely feel free to drop us a comment down below. Make sure and like and subscribe so we can keep you up to date on our new videos. Check out our website, www.proacousticsusa.com. Once again, I'm Nathan, and we'll see you next time.